My dad humiliated my mom for being boring, so she tried to sleep with my fiancé. But I proved they were both wrong, and karma took care of the rest. To explain this properly, I need to give you some background. My parents split up when I was 14. My dad cheated on her a lot. The way their marriage was towards the end was like watching two people die quietly under the same roof. My mom became emotionally disconnected. She was always tired, distracted, and quiet. My dad was the opposite. He was really loud, cruel, and always looking for attention. He used to make fun of her at the dinner table, calling her boring and simple. He'd say she was just a body taking up space. I remember her just sitting there while he flirted with any woman at the party that night. After the divorce, they both fell apart. My dad remarried quickly, in less than a year. His new wife is maybe 5 years older than me. My mom, on the other hand, seemed to be having an identity crisis. She cut all her hair off, dyed it platinum blonde, and bought a motorcycle on Facebook Marketplace, seriously. And she started dating random guys she met on apps, mostly younger, all flashy or unstable, or both. She went from being quiet and sad to loud and dramatic in just a few months. At first, I thought she was just trying to find herself. Honestly, I felt bad for her. She didn't have any friends. She lost contact with her family after the divorce because she felt too embarrassed. She tried to cling to me for a while, but I was a teenager who had just watched her home fall apart. I didn't have much to offer other than being there for her, but over time, I realized she wasn't finding herself. She was chasing a version of herself that only existed in her head. She wanted to prove she was still desirable, that she still had it, that she wasn't the boring wife my dad made fun of, that she was fun, exciting, and sexy. And she used men to try and prove it. I had to keep my distance for a while because her behavior started to become a problem. So, when she asked if she could come visit for a week to help with wedding stuff, I wasn't sure. She kept saying she wanted to be involved, that she wanted to make up for all the things she'd missed. I thought about it a lot, but in the end, I agreed. I figured a few days wouldn't hurt. The first couple of days were actually good. We went shopping for the dress. She gave me compliments. She even cried a little when I tried one on, and I thought, okay, maybe this will finally be a normal, healthy moment between us. Then she started acting weird. She started looking for reasons to be around Harold and not just casually. I'm talking about getting too close, sitting really close on the couch, leaning over his shoulder while he was on his phone, laughing at things that weren't even funny. She started making little comments about how handsome he was. It felt gross, but she's always said inappropriate things to get attention. Then I noticed what she was wearing in the mornings. Silk robes, barely tied, lingerie tops. She'd walk into the kitchen like we were living in a bad movie, flipping her hair while Harold was trying to make coffee and looking away because he was embarrassed to see her like that. I pulled her aside and told her it was weird and inappropriate. She laughed in my face and said I was jealous. I told her she could behave or she'd have to leave my house right then. She said she'd leave the next morning. So, what happened yesterday? Yesterday, I came home early from work. One of my clients canceled. I didn't tell anyone I was coming back. I just wanted to lie down and maybe take a nap, thinking she'd already left. I walked in, and it was quiet. I didn't hear Harold either, and he should have been home already. When I got to the living room, I saw them on the couch, sitting together, too close. She was wearing a dress that I know she only wears when she wants to impress someone. Short, tight, low cut. Harold was completely frozen. She stood up when she saw me, smiled like nothing was wrong, and said they were just talking. I told her she wasn't supposed to be there, that I'd asked her to leave and she promised she would in the morning. I'd left early, so I hadn't stayed to confirm it. She gave some excuse and I told her it was time to leave right now. So she went to her room to get her things. That's when Harold told me she tried to kiss him. She leaned in, touched his face, and told him he deserved someone who really cared about him, someone with her experience. I went to her room and confronted her. She actually seemed amused. She said, "You're exaggerating things." Then, she blamed Harold for looking at her a certain way. She said she got confused, like she accidentally tried to seduce my fiancé. I told her I was going to pack her things myself and she was leaving. She acted offended, but she already had her stuff ready, and she left. That should have been the end. But I know her. She doesn't let things go, especially when she feels rejected or embarrassed. And judging by the way she looked at Harold as she walked out the door, she's going to be a pain to deal with. Not because she's still invited to the wedding, which she isn't, but because this post-divorce version of her is like a woman who feels entitled to everything. Edit. Believe me, I've tried to get her to go to therapy after the divorce, but she always thought she could figure it out on her own. Well, these are the consequences of figuring it out on her own, trying to seduce my fiancé. Update 1. I underestimated how far she would go, and I was expecting drama from her. I blocked her because I didn't want to deal with the fake apologies or the emotional manipulation she usually sends after crossing a line. I saw things when I was a teenager that were really traumatic, and I know how she acts afterward. But she found a way around that. She started sending messages from a different number with the same energy, only worse this time. It was all about how I was angry because maybe Harold had seen something in her. And even though she wasn't going to cross any lines, as if she hadn't already, she thought it was cute that someone desired her. The only thing I replied was that she needed urgent therapy because her brain was working on a low battery mode. Then Harold came to me and showed me his phone. She'd been sending him messages too, same number, same vibe, only worded to make her sound like the victim. At first, she thanked him for seeing her the way he did, said she was flattered, but that he was her daughter's fiancé and nothing could happen between them. But if that sounds crazy, wait until you hear what she did next. She sent him a picture. Not a nude, but almost. She was in a lace bra, biting her lip, clearly trying to pose seductively. The background looked like a hotel. On one hand, she was saying nothing was going to happen, and on the other, she already had a hotel room, and that picture was to let him know. Harold blocked the number right away. He just handed me his phone and said, "I think you need to see this." I ended up calling my aunt, her sister. I didn't want to involve more family, but I didn't know what else to do. I needed someone else to see how bad this was getting, someone who knew her and could maybe give me some context. I wasn't expecting what she told me. Apparently, this isn't new. My aunt wasn't surprised at all. She told me that a few years ago, my mom was banned from her yoga studio after getting involved with the instructor, a married man. She tried to say it was mutual, but the instructor's wife showed up and made a scene, and the studio kicked her out. Then there was the incident at the wine tasting, where she got drunk and tried to kiss one of her friend's husbands. That ended in shouting and broken glass. I didn't know any of this. I guess people stopped telling me, or maybe I stopped paying attention after a while. She said she'd tried to get her help too, but my mom refused. Since Harold blocked her number, she's been creating fake accounts. She started following him on Instagram using fake names, commenting on photos from years ago. She'd comment things like, "I could make you breakfast," and a few other things. Who writes things like that? It's embarrassing, but it's also scary. Like she's trying to tear us apart, one small attack at a time, trying to plant seeds of doubt, hoping one of them will take root. But Harold keeps blocking her. He blocks every new account the moment it pops up. We've started saving screenshots of everything in case this turns into something we need to document legally. Maybe it's time to legally force her to get psychological help. I think it's something she needs, even though I don't want to be the one to handle that after what she's done. My dad called me. We haven't been close since he treated my mom the way he did and feels guilt for how she is now. Now I talk to him maybe a couple of times a year, usually at holidays or if someone in the family dies. But he called out of the blue to say he heard something from one of my cousins and wanted to know what my mom had done this time. I told him I didn't feel like talking about mom. He already knew. He was just looking for confirmation. He said, "I knew she had problems, but trying to sleep with her daughter's fiancé? That's something new." When he said that, I hung up. I'm not defending my mother, but he seemed like he was enjoying it. I don't know which one is crazier. Harold has been amazing. I keep waiting for him to freak out or back away or at least get weird about all this, but he hasn't. He constantly asks how I'm doing, makes sure I eat, sends me messages in the middle of the day to ask how I am. I think he feels guilty, even though he didn't do anything wrong. I wish I'd never let her stay with us, but I think this would have started anyway. Everything she's doing, she could have done even if I hadn't let her stay. I don't know what her ultimate goal is. I don't think she knows either. She just wants attention, or maybe she just wants to hurt me because she's miserable. I'm happy, and she can't stand that. Update 2. She showed up at Harold's work. She drove 2 hours, found the office building where he works, walked in the front doors like she belonged there, and tried to surprise him for lunch. That's what she told the receptionist, like she was his partner. The receptionist didn't know what to do with her. Obviously, Harold works at a medium-sized firm, not a co-working space where people are constantly coming and going. She said she was his future mother-in-law and just wanted to take him out for a bite. Luckily, the receptionist called Harold before letting her through. He didn't even go out there. He asked security to escort her out, and they did. She made a scene in the parking lot, screaming, crying, begging to talk to him for just a minute. Security ended up threatening to call the police if she didn't leave. And how did she get the address? We never gave it to her. I never wrote it down anywhere obvious. My best guess is that she went through old emails, or documents, or maybe she found it on his LinkedIn. It's hard to say with her because once she gets something in her head, she doesn't stop. After that, I had enough. I started the process of getting a restraining order. It hasn't gone through yet, but we're saving all the messages and screenshots. I have a whole folder on my phone titled Mom Receipts. I also talked to her sister and told her to look into legal ways to get her admitted somewhere. I'm also doing my own research to find out how involved I have to be with my mother if I'm the one who does it. Like I said, I don't want to be the one. But if that's the only way to get her to leave us alone, maybe it's the best option. With how crazy she's acting, the restraining order is probably just going to be toilet paper. But she's not just obsessed with Harold anymore. She started attacking the people around me. Last night, 2 of my bridesmaids messaged me. They were confused, asking what was going on with my mom. Apparently, she contacted both of them separately. She said some pretty weird things about how the wedding was going to change now, and Harold would be marrying her. I can't even focus at work. I'm writing an email on a call right now, and I keep going in circles in my head about what she'll do next, who she'll talk to, what new account she'll be using to message Harold. He's had to block at least 5 accounts so far. She keeps changing the usernames to variations of fake names, all with something suggestive. Update 3. We found out she's been talking to my ex, and not just talking, planning. It all started with a weird message I got from my college ex. We haven't really kept in touch, but we ended on good terms, so him reaching out wasn't completely out of the blue. What was out of the blue was the reason he said he felt he had to let me know. My mom had been messaging him a lot on Facebook. At first, he thought she was just being friendly, but then she kept steering the conversation into really weird territory. Apparently, she messaged him a few days ago saying something like, "Hey, stranger, miss seeing your face around here?" He ignored it at first, but then she kept pushing, asking how he was, if he was seeing anyone, and started talking about me, telling him I'd changed, that I'd been falling apart since we broke up because of jealousy issues. That's when he got uncomfortable. She told him I accused Harold of cheating on me when he hadn't. She said I'd always been controlling, and that she was worried about Harold's safety, like she was trying to create a narrative that I was unstable, that I was freaking out because I was losing control. She even mentioned fights my ex and I had years ago, and twisted them to make it seem like I'd always been the problem. He said he didn't respond and just blocked her. Then he told me, "This is harassment against me and other people. My mother is unwell or she has simply become a criminal." I wish I could say that was the worst part, but that's just the intro. I checked my spam message folder after my ex told me. Turns out she's created 3 more fake accounts to message me this week. They're all slightly different versions of the same garbage. Fake apologies, blaming her actions on her mental health, asking if I've calmed down yet. One of them literally said, "You know this is really about your dad, right? You've forgiven him for what he did to me." Number 1, I'm angry because she's sabotaging my life, and then she starts playing the victim as if she didn't corner my fiancé in our own house trying to kiss him. No, I haven't forgiven my dad, and I've had little contact with him, even after she became a lunatic and slept with every man she could. Even after coming home and seeing my mother doing things you only see in an adult film. I'm not 15 anymore. I'm not her little emotional support system that she can manipulate and then guilt trip when I don't act the way she wants. I understand she went through an abusive marriage, but it's not my fault she decided to channel that into being a slut instead of getting help. She preferred sleeping with men she brought home instead of being a mother to me. I don't think it was fair to me, and I don't think anything she's doing is fair. The wedding feels so far away now, not because I'm scared or have doubts, but because I'm not in a good mental space right now, not even to imagine standing at an altar at this moment. Every time I close my eyes, I think about her sitting next to him on that couch. And I don't think I'm going to be okay until she's locked up, whether it's in a psychiatric hospital or in a cell that's far enough away to keep her from doing these things. My mother's sister doesn't want to take care of it, so I think it's time to tell the lawyer to do whatever he has to do. The restraining order still hasn't been approved, but like I said, it's useless against someone like my mother. Update 4. We postponed the wedding, but not because I regretted getting married. I'm sure about marrying Harold. If anything, he's the only reason I didn't completely lose it these last few months. But after everything that happened, I couldn't imagine walking down the aisle with all of that hanging over me. Besides, we had to take care of my mother, so we both decided to postpone it for a while, but we already have a new date, and that one is set in stone. Now that my mother has been placed in care, I'm finally ready to get married because I'm sure my mother won't bother us. But let me tell you what we've done with my mother to feel safe. With our lawyer, we requested a court order to get her admitted to a center that treats people with mental health issues, and the judge granted it. It was a bit difficult, which is why we postponed the wedding because we needed to take care of this. We gathered a lot of evidence during this time, so it wasn't difficult to prove that something was wrong with her. We had not only contradictions, which could be common in a liar or manipulator, but also things she said that didn't make any sense, things that only a crazy person would say. So, they did a wellness check with the police, and after confirming that she wasn't okay, she was taken to a center where we will be in charge of making sure she gets the medical attention she needs. Now, they did several psychological tests there, the normal ones, but also some extra medical tests. I didn't know that was a possibility, but it's been helpful if you think about it, because thanks to that we discovered that my mother has untreated syphilis, which in stage 3 can cause insanity, in addition to other damage. Thanks to that, she was treated with very strong antibiotics, as it can also cause irreversible organ damage. We don't know why she didn't want to get treated before or if she even suspected it. A more thorough evaluation showed that she had non-visible sores on parts of her body that were covered. I don't want to tell you all the details because I don't know how many of you read these stories while you eat. The important thing here is that she's getting the necessary attention and we're taking care of it. It's still hard to know if my mother will end up with permanent after effects or not. I also don't know how my relationship with her will end up when the medicine starts to take effect. But as if my mother wasn't enough, my father had to start a drama. Because, well, no one should steal his spotlight. Seeing that we had admitted my mother to a place for her evaluation, which has a cost, he wants money too. We decided to admit her there because, even if she seems like a horrible person to us, if there was any psychiatric condition, I don't know to what extent we could blame her. Then, based on what they told us, we were thinking of filing a report for harassment and bringing this to justice, or giving her treatment and seeing what kind of mother came out of it, if it was the pre-divorce mother or the post-divorce mother, but without the mental illness. I told my father no. Apparently, he's been spending a lot with a new girlfriend since his new marriage only lasted a while, and he needed help paying his cards, mortgages, and those things. We told him we didn't care. He said he also had a problem and needed help like my mother. The answer was still no. To sum up, it wasn't something he liked to hear, but it was the only thing we had to tell him. He threatened not to go to our wedding, but he was never formally invited, neither to this last one nor to the previous one. We thought it was clear after years of little contact, so when I informed him, everything was even more chaotic. But since I didn't want to listen to him anymore, I hung up and blocked him. That saves me 2 calls a year. Now, all that's left is to wait. I don't know when I'll come back to update. With the wedding so soon, maybe I'll wait until it happens, or maybe I'll do it before. It all depends on what I have to update and my desire to do it. Update 5. The update comes after the wedding, but I have a reason for it. I think someone in my situation would have done the same. I have updates on my father and my mother, and they haven't been good. That's why I waited until after the wedding so I wouldn't have to think about this much. My mother continues to be treated in a psychiatric center, but this time one provided by the state. She has ended up with some after effects, but nothing I should worry about for now. Now her mind is another thing. That is worrying. She has been put there now by a judge, and we have stopped paying for the place where she was for something she did, or rather, for something she confessed. My mother knew about her illness, but according to what she has revealed, her depression prevented her from treating it. She wasn't self-punishing. She saw herself as a kind of vigilante. She knew about her illness, but she wanted to infect any man because she began to hate them. So much was the hatred that she wanted to do it with my fiancé, which could also have infected me if Harold hadn't said no. For years she made up her sores, especially those visible when she was dressed, although luckily for her, they were not very large. I haven't seen those on the rest of the body, but she always preferred to do it in the dark with her partners because she was ashamed at her age. Or, well, that was the excuse. She has also been making up her symptoms with medication, added to the fact that she never truly reached stage 3, but began to enter stage 2 recently. Her madness is simply something of her own. That's why we stopped paying for her treatment and let the judge take her destiny. The judge has ordered that she be admitted there, and that is where she spends a good time. She has to be treated for that madness she has, but she can't blame syphilis, only herself. I have stopped visiting her or doing anything for her. I had thought that with her diagnosis there might be a possibility of something between us, but there is none now. My father has also been quite a case with his money problems, but I haven't gotten involved in that and let him take care of it alone. He has had to sell his house and car, although he still has debts, but our decision not to help still stands firm. He is in his own hell, but at least he doesn't have any venereal disease, or at least he has treated it. If you wonder how I have come out relatively normal from such a crazy family, I wonder too. I have started therapy for that, and I think that is part of the help. That's why I haven't updated before the wedding, as he recommended that I not relive all that here. There is not much to say about the wedding.